All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're piecing together a modern mystery, a story pulled from a series of classified investigative reports. It's a wild ride that kicks off with the quiet death of one single man and spirals into a global event that honestly defies all rational explanation. And you know, everything, and I mean everything, hinges on this one cryptic line. It's the key, the Rosetta Stone for a chilling chain of events that went down in 2025. Think of it as a warning, scrawled in the margins of a history we were never supposed to read. So our story starts in Providence, Rhode Island, with the death of a 92-year-old academic, a Professor George Gamble Angel. Now, officially, the coroner said he died of natural causes, but what was discovered inside his home, well, that suggests his end was anything but ordinary. Yeah, so while the police report might have said natural causes, the contents of his long-sealed study told a totally different story. It turns out the professor was on the verge of a discovery so terrifying, investigators now believe it actually cost him his life. At the center of this whole puzzle was this just bizarre sculpture. It was delivered by a young art student, a guy named Henry Wilcox. And get this, he claimed he was suffering from a debilitating dream plague, and that he was basically forced to create what he saw in his nightmares. His words were, "Visions from the deep, tides of slime and sunken spires, chanting in tongues I don't know." Chilling, right? But Professor Engel, he wasn't just collecting weird art. His private notes show him frantically trying to connect the dots. I mean, he was linking this student's sculpture to a secret historical cult, to some strange police raid from over a century ago, and to this recurring, totally alien-sounding phrase. And it turns out Angel's fears were completely on the money. Following the breadcrumbs from his research, the investigation suddenly blew wide open, leading authorities from a dusty old attic in New England all the way down to a remote Louisiana bayou. So imagine this. It's a pre-dawn raid. Police swarm this derelict plantation. And what they find are these hooded figures right in the middle of a ritual, chanting the exact same phrase from Angel's notes: Fni, Glu, Menglwinoff, Cthulhu, Rylik, Wugan, Oglethegnin. In that moment, the professor's academic puzzle became a very real, very active criminal investigation. And here is where the connection becomes absolutely undeniable. The stone idol they seized from that swamp ritual, it was basically identical to the clay sculpture from the art student back in Providence. This was no longer a coincidence. No way. This was a conspiracy. Then the trail went digital, and that's when they realized just how huge this thing was. In the days after Angel's death and the raid, online chatter related to the cult's strange phrases just skyrocketed. The FBI actually called it a meme of madness because it was spreading like a virus through the darkest corners of the web. Okay, so just when you think you're getting a handle on this modern-day cult, the investigation takes this completely wild turn. Not forward, but backward in time. Turns out, the biggest clue was hiding in a dusty old maritime archive, in the century-old testimony of a Norwegian sailor. So let me introduce you to Gustav Johansen. He was the only survivor of the sailing ship Emma, and his deposition from way back in 1925 told this harrowing story of a freak storm, a mysterious black ship that just appeared out of nowhere, and a violent, bloody fight in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And get this. Johansen described the crew of that other ship not as sailors, but as these frenzied cultists. During the chaos, he actually managed to grab a small idol from their ship, an idol that was, you guessed it, identical to the ones in Providence and Louisiana. Okay, let's just pause for a second and recap. We have a dead professor's notes, a global cult operating today, and a sailor's horror story from 100 years ago. They all seemed like totally unconnected threads until May 28th, 2025. For a full century, Johansen's story was just dismissed. People thought he was the raving madman who'd lost his crew and his mind out at sea. But then something happened that proved his impossible tale wasn't just true, it was a prophecy. An 8.9. A monster of an undersea earthquake, just a staggering magnitude 8.9, shook the South Pacific. It was an event so powerful it was literally felt around the globe. And the epicenter of this historic quake, it was pinpointed to these exact coordinates. Just an unremarkable patch of empty ocean. Unremarkable, that is, to everyone except Gustav Johansen. You see, this was no random geological event. The earthquake struck at the precise location Johansen had recorded in his logbook a century earlier. It was the place where he fought those cultists, the place he had been trying to warn the world about. And the quake didn't just shake the seafloor, it raised it up. A 2-mile-wide island of black stone literally emerged from the abyss, a sunken city of impossible, mind-bending architecture that perfectly matched the descriptions from the sculptor's dreams and the professor's notes. So the world is now faced with this unbelievable reality, something torn from the pages of a madman's diary. And what's the official response? Immediate, coordinated, and total silence. The discovery of the century was about to become the cover-up of the millennium. A global quarantine of information begins. Suddenly, naval blockades are enacted around the site. That Interpol investigation into the cult, it goes completely dark. Its detainees vanished. And the official story for this city that rose from the sea, it was just a geophysical glitch. Right. And while the world was being ordered to forget, Gustav Johansen, the one man who had tried to warn us all, finally succumbed. He died of a bizarre dream disease, his mind seemingly overwritten by the ocean. His body even contained the same strange chemicals found on the cult's artifacts. And then, almost as quickly and as unnaturally as it appeared, it was gone. A powerful aftershock sent the black spires of the city, Relia, sinking back down into the abyss, and the call from the deep fell silent. Which leaves us right back where we started, with Johansen's final, haunting words. It's a warning, really, that what has sunk may not be gone forever. So, the immediate threat might be dormant, resting once more in its watery tomb, but all the evidence, the professor's notes, the global cult, the sailor's tale, it all suggests it isn't gone. It's merely waiting. And that leaves us with one final chilling question. What happens when the stars are right again?